Welcome everybody. I want to do a quick update. Just want to show you the new gyro piece that I put on. Originally had an Odyssey G3 gyro on the DMC, and I was having some pull range issues just because of the length of the fork, how much stem needed to be on the fork, and how much range I had to pull, plus the actual gyro piece not being able to go back over the headset or slide down over it. Which used to not be an issue back in the day because there was more stem range, but everything's shorter on that end and beefier on purpose these days. So I got a hold of Flip at Albies and just asked, what's the widest inside diameter rotor out there, and he said the Shadow was the one. This is the Sano V.2 rotor, and it drops right over the top headset to give me that extra pull range. You can see this, that the where the cables are grabbing actually sits down over the headset cup, so there's plenty of range to pull that. Also swapped out the top cable stop plate that came with the Shadow. I swapped took the Odyssey off, put this one on. The Odyssey was kind of tapered, designed to have a nut for a fork, a headset, kind of sit down in it to make it more low profile and that sort of thing, which was fine back in the day. But the G3 was pretty much designed, just like the old school ones, and that's what I wanted to start with, and I did that. But I needed this to sit flat because I was having to put another washer or another spacer on top of the Odyssey cable stop for the stem to sit down solid on it. Now the cable stop would have held just fine, but I'm a big guy and I'm putting a lot of pressure and that kind of stuff on it, so I just didn't want any kind of torque to tear it up or anything. So this Shadow is just a chunk of metal. I mean, it's almost a 1/4 inch thick and it's flat, which is the big thing. So this actually acts as a top spacer for the fork and stem assembly here. So as you can see, plenty of pull range there for the gyro. And we're still waiting. I think everybody that uses a rotor is waiting to see if there's any kind of hydraulic that comes out that functions. I've heard a lot of people talk about hydraulic rotors, and it's going to happen, and it has happened, but it failed, and they're kind of mythical creatures right now. But for what I'm doing, which is not much of anything other than showing you what I did, this works just fine. So I'm going to run this for a while. Next thing up on this bike is I am swapping out the front brakes. The front brakes, of course, were added because the DMC does not come with them, but I added old school 1990s on the front, and they've been fine, but I want to experiment with some more stopping power without having to modify the bike yet. So what I'm doing is bringing in a die-comp U-brake plate and a set of ombre style 990s. I believe the ones I got are the 996s. I'm not sure. They'll be here in a few days, so we'll get those things on, see if we got a little bit better stopping power with those. Outside of that, we're going to look at adding brake mounts on the forks to do. I probably will just skip right past V-style and go straight to the hydraulics. And I know RL has done some hydraulics on his, and it's just incredible the stopping power they have. I'm going to find somebody who can repaint the forks this exact color or chrome them before I, weld brake mounts on them. So as soon as I get that sorted out, we'll look at considering that. I'm really not too big on modifying the frame too much, but we'll see what happens. If I really have to have that stopping power, we'll get it done. But just to show you, the different brake styles that we have. So we'll get that up as soon as we make it happen. A little bit of different angle on the brakes. You can see how it's set up. Let me just review the mods to this bike right quick. This is a 24-inch Haro DMC. It's a 2021 model. Picked it up from Aldi's, and they had a couple in stock, probably the only one in the country that did, so I got one from them. Things that I have done. I added front brakes. These are Dicomp 990s. Obviously the cable runs through. This is the mod that was already on the bike. Added a gyro, which involved putting cable stops. These are bolted to the frame, threaded in. There's a video on that. You can check that out, tapping those things in. And of course the lever for the front brakes. And that's all that's been done to it so far. We are going to swap these out for 990s and maybe eventually add brake post and probably skip past V-brakes and go right on up to hydraulics because they look awesome and they have incredible stopping power. Also considering a laid back post, but not sure yet. I need to ride more to see if I actually want one. Having a little trouble getting the bike off the ground for like wheelies and that kind of thing, but that's 50% geometry. No, let's back that up. It's probably 25% geometry and 75% gravity because I'm a large individual. And it's very difficult to pick me up. On that note, I wasn't going to do any video of me riding the bike for quite a while because I don't, you don't want to look stupid on video. But I decided I'd go ahead and shoot some stuff. So this morning I went out to Skatopia, which is a little concrete park. I mean, like small concrete park that the city of Texarkana built a few years ago. They did everything Opia. It's Kidtopia and Skatopia downtown. So I went down there, dropped off my 7th grader at school, threw the bike in the minivan, and headed down to Skatopia when no one was there, and rode a little bit. And it was the 5th time that I have been on a BMX bike in the past 30 years. So, or not 30 years, probably 27 years. So it was rough. I mean, it was rough. It was very difficult. When I first bought this bike and got on it for the first time, it just felt really weird. I mean, it wasn't impossible to do, but it just felt really weird riding. And I thought, man, this is going to be a long journey. And it will be. So I haven't done anything else other than just spin around the driveway. And literally today was the 5th time I got on the bike and went down to Skatopia. Told my wife, hey, if you don't hear from me in 30 minutes, go ahead and send an ambulance down here. So I shot a little bit of video, just want you to see it. And I wasn't going to post anything because, you're like, oh gosh, look at this guy. But there's somebody else out there, I'm sure, my age or older, my size or bigger, who's thinking about trying this. And this will be encouraging because this is not easy. It is definitely a field study in the forces of gravity for sure, because I don't do anything cardio or athletic in my life. I mean, nothing. Now, heavy lifting, I got all that. I can do heavy lifting, but that's a total different thing than moving around a bunch. Agility is a completely different animal, and I don't have any of that. But I'm also 250 pounds, so I figure probably if I get down to about 225 maybe, a little of that agility will kick in and I'll be able to maneuver a little bit better without it being just painful. So this morning I rode for like 30 minutes. My wrists are killing me, my ankles hurt, and everything's just kind of jarred, and it's not I didn't bump or bruise or wreck or any of that kind of stuff. It's just moving everything around. It's tough when you're almost 50. And then there's some people that, I have friends here in town that, ride road bikes and do triathlons and that kind of stuff that are older than me. that are just incredibly healthy, and this will be no problem for them whatsoever. I'm not that guy. So here's a little clip from the Skatopia this morning, just to encourage you more than anything else. Make sure you like and subscribe down below if you would, and be watching for the video coming out. I'll probably do it in about a week or so. Next week's kind of busy. Putting the 990s on, trying those things out, and continue to experiment with the Haro DMC. Thanks for watching, guys. Shout out to Flip at Albies for the word on the Shadow Gyro. Also, I talked to them about forks, something with brake mounts on it, and we talked about that. We're still working on that plan. I will likely end up threading these and welding on some brake mounts, but we'll see what happens. But thanks, Flip, and all the guys at Albies. Appreciate you guys helping me out, and we'll see you again.